Hello and welcome back to another Rated R episode on the Bamsters channel. I'm Draconis. With me today I will have Senior Bamm Havoc, and we are going to give you a metric dump truck load of information from the press conferences at E3. So strap in, strap them headphones on, sit back. Bamm, say hi.
Hi, guys. Yes, we've actually scoured E3, which is why Draconis sounds a bit wooden, a bit robotic, because that gentleman is tired. He has painstakingly watched E3 on the behalf of myself because, you know, work and more boring work. So yes, Drac, what is on the block for today?
Well, just real briefly before we jump into basically Monday and Tuesday at E3, we already covered stuff from Saturday and Sunday on our Monday news episode. So for those of you who listen on the podcast and might have missed out on that, go check out our Facebook pages, Facebook page and YouTube channels, either or, for the information that we gathered for over the weekend for E3. That covers EA Play, Microsoft, Bethesda, and Devolver Digital. And then the stuff we're going to talk about today will be the UploadVR segment they did in the morning on Monday, followed by a PC gaming show, UbiSoft, and indie-focused kind of funny games, Square Enix, and then finally yesterday morning, Nintendo.
Wait, hang on. Did you say UbiSoft or UbiSoft?
I said UbiSoft.
Right, it's UbiSoft. Never mind. I'll let you off. It's French. Never mind.
All right, so first up, UploadVR, which, I don't know how many of the folks who actually listen to our show have VR headsets, so I'll try to run through this part as quickly as possible. We cut a whole bunch out of each one of these segments. There's way too much that we can't cover. So, but if you know someone who has a VR headset, first thing on the list is something called Acorn, Attack of the Squirrels. And the cool thing about this is it's mixed with VR and non-VR. So it's a multiplayer game where the VR player is like this tree. Think of like an ant rooted in place, defending its acorns, and then mobile players join into the match and they play as squirrels trying to capture the acorns. And this will be out in the summer of 2019.
And there's also The Walking Dead Onslaught by AMC. Let's hope this is better than the last one. Yay. Campaign, level up, and all unlock new perks, blah, blah, blah. So yes, another zombie shoot 'em up, which is kind of getting a bit old. I think the genre is dead, sort of, but it's a new sort
Maybe
of way of playing it.
Maybe the genre is undead.
No. You see, you've fallen into my trap. You see, my trap. I know you've got a VR headset. I noticed what you said there was just flexing on me because I don't have the royalty of a VR headset. But this actually makes a lot of sense because when I saw this, it reminded me of those old Terminator arcade games where you scroll, right or left or forward, and you're shooting the old Terminators with your little, Uzi gun, whatever have you. That's what that reminded me of, and I think that might actually work. So let's hope AMC have done a good enough job to actually do something about it.
Yeah, the developers here worked with AMC, so hopefully this feels more like a Walking Dead game than, Overkill's Walking Dead game. But anyway, moving on. Next one in there that I wanted to point out was something called Soulkeeper VR. Now, this is a medieval hack and slash, kind of almost like a Skyrim VR game. And they even showed some segments where you can ride horses and dragons. And, the graphics in the game look pretty good too. So it looked like that one could be a fun one to play as well.
And there's the ubiquitous descriptor of many hack and slash medieval games, Skyrim. Like Skyrim. Can't think of a better word to describe it because that word itself is so complete.
But if hack and slash isn't your thing, you can jump into Audica, which is a rhythm shooter, and they even have options for, custom blasters and avatars. And the cool thing about this one that stood out to me was that I guess you can make your own playable maps and then share them so that other people online can play through those maps. So that's kind of cool. VR modding, I guess, in a way.
Yes, that sounds like a lot of fun. I do know that there was a VR dev. I know Miss Siggy, or Sigo, I can't pronounce it. Apologies. It was working on something similar, but this looks like a lot of fun. If I had a VR set, I might play it.
Well, I'm sticking with the shooting theme. The last one I was going to point out from that is something called Aspire 1, which is a stealth action first-person shooter. This one looked pretty good. So you mix, stealth with the shooting aspects, sneaking around, moving around, but just almost like a spy type, action thriller or something like that. But I don't know, something else that might be cool to check out. I'm still learning when it comes to VR, still playing with some stuff, so we'll see. And from there, we are going to jump into the PC gaming show. Man, there was a long list of games in this one as well, but we'll try to distill this down to just a few. First thing they showed was Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2, and they didn't really show a lot of new information. There was a trailer there. The game looks good. It definitely is. It's something I'm interested in checking out, and if you're a fan of the Vampire tabletop game or played the previous Vampire the Masquerade game, this is supposed to be out Q1 of 2020, so it'll be shortly before the next E3.
For me, I thought they were holding back a lot, as in they were just there's the concept, there's the idea, they're just waiting and seeing. So I'll be quite keen to see what's going on here, to be honest.
So sticking with a supernatural theme, the next one that they showed that really stood out to me that I thought was really cool is something called Midnight Ghost Hunt. And this is a first-person perspective. It's a match of 4v4, and so half the players are playing as ghosts, which then inhabit items throughout this haunted house, and they hide in these items, and the other half of the players come running in like Ghostbusters with little EKG meters and proton packs and stuff like that. And so they're trying to find the ghosts, zap the ghosts, and take them out before midnight, because once midnight reaches, then the tables turn and the ghosts become super powered and then start hunting down the ghost hunters. This game looks pretty cool. It's definitely got a cartoony look to it, but it looks like it could be really fun to play. You can get some more information and sign up for the alpha at midnightghosthunt.com.
For me, it reminds me of a prop hunt that the tables get turned. So yeah, a prop hunt sort of evolution sort of thing. So yeah, that's actually quite a cool idea. I like that.
And then Funcom came out on stage and they showed off some stuff, things that are already out, like the Conan Unconquered and a few other things. But one thing that stood out from their presentation that I thought was kind of neat, on April 1st, there was a post from Funcom about a game called Conan Chop Chop. And everybody thought it was an April Fool's joke. Nobody took it seriously and were like, oh, haha, this is funny, this is cool. Oh, wouldn't that be cool if it was actually a game? It actually is a game that's been in development. So this game is due out on September 3rd this year, PC, Xbox One, PS4, and Switch. And so you'll be able to get your hands on this kind of goofy, cartoony Conan game the beginning of September this year.
Now, this is actually a lot of fun. When I saw it, I actually lit up with a bit of glee. Something fun to come out of E3 for once. And it was interesting. So yeah, it's coming out on the PS4. If it's within a reasonable price, I will pick it up. Yeah, a lot of fun. Conan, chop chop, yeehaw.
So the next one I set aside for G, it's a 4X turn-based RTS in the Age of Wonders universe called Planetfall. And the kind of cool thing with the different units, you got to pick between cyborg zombies, mechs, and then these other ones they were calling Amazon bioengineers that were riding these dinosaurs with freaking laser beams. As typical with, different types of RTSs, there are research or tech trees where you can research through things and unlock new abilities and new units as you go on. I think they were saying that the matches between players would generally last about 30 minutes, and this comes out on the 6th of August on PC and console.
It should be Sharks, wasn't it, with laser beams, if I remember my Austin Powers correctly?
Oh yeah, I was alluding to the Austin Powers thing with the sharks with the freaking laser beams, yeah.
This, again, looks like a lot of fun. Something that's not too serious, but is competitive. And again, it looks like a lot of fun. I was very surprised when I did the research on the list you presented me this afternoon, yeah. Right, well, next to the chopping block is Zombie Army Dead for War, or Dead War 4. I'm like, okay, another zombie shooter, another horde shooter from Zombie Place. Okay, lovely. Yeah, I wasn't necessarily too keen on the idea. It just, to me, it's another horde zombie shooter, I mean, it's made from the guys from Sniper Elite 4. That's always good. A lot of fun to get shot in the testicles. But
that's why this is on the list, just for you.
Yeah, I know. I like Sniper Elite 4. I really did. And it's made by the same guys, and it's, the same company. And I played the zombie shooters. I liked them. I got bored of them, and I've moved on. But this just makes me want to go back now, because now Sniper Elite 4, bro. Yeah.
And the next one is something called Remnant from the Ashes. Now, we've mentioned this I know we mentioned it on the show before. We've talked about it. In fact, I think it was something I saw at PAX West last year. And the only thing that has concerned me about this game is that it's being made by Perfect World. Or I should say Perfect World, I think, is the distributor or the publisher. Gunfire Games is the developer. It has solo and co-op play through the entire story missions in the game. This is due out on August 20th this year for PC, Xbox One, and PS4. And but because Perfect World is involved in what I saw happen to Neverwinter Online and just how obnoxiously grindy it got after they took over, that's been my only concern with this game. Other than that, the game looks cool. So I don't know. I guess to me, this is a wait and see.
And another game we've actually mentioned before, Vermintide 2. Essentially, it boils down to one sentence: new threat versus mode, PvE, VP. That's it. Honestly, that is it. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, now you can kill each other as well as the humanoid-sized rats.
Yay.
Then next up is something I think I might have also seen at PAX last year. I can't remember, called Valfaris. It's a 2D side-scrolling shoot-'em-up. It looks to be kind of inspired a little by Contra and Metroid. It looks really cool, and if you like 2D side-scrollers, then this is definitely something that'll be up your alley.
I saw this, and Valfaris reminded me so much of Contra. So much of Contra. Yes, I can see the Metroid sort of angle as well, but mostly Contra for me. And I haven't played Contra since my NES days. And good lord, get me some Contra, because that was some good gaming. Good gaming.
Well, I think this one, at least if the trailer is anything to go by, there's a lot of heavy metal music in the background. So if you're a heavy metal fan and you like playing a 2D platformer, this will be the one for you.
Dude, you can't have Contra without some sick heavy metal guitar riffing, bro. Sick.
And then they came out with the devs from Borderlands 3. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because, to be honest, there wasn't a lot of new information. I just don't know how much of this we've actually covered in the past. They did show off a little bit of talk about, I should say, the new Vault Hunter, Mose, which is like a mech pilot. One thing he did say, though, that I thought was new, I didn't remember seeing somewhere else, is that the way that they've done grenades in Borderlands 3, apparently they're combining... in previous versions, you would have grenades that would bounce or grenades that would stick or whatever, but now they're actually have some grenades that will combine different abilities. And then they said there's even one that I guess you throw it out, and when it explodes, like it pops up a gun or several guns, and the guns start shooting. So it's got grenades that have guns in them that shoot people. It's insane with some of the weapon options that they have in this thing. But they did talk a little bit about the end game, which they're going to be calling Guardian ranks. And if you're familiar at all with how things work in ESO, after you hit max level and you start working through the end game ranks in that game, when you play another character and you get to the max level, the end game ranks that you've unlocked with your other characters are already available to you. And that's what they said in this, is that the Guardian ranks you unlock with any of your characters will carry over to all of your characters, which I thought was kind of cool.
That was actually quite a bit of a relief, actually. The excitement about Borderlands 3 has actually prompted me to play Borderlands, the pre-sequel, and Borderlands 2 again. Borderlands 1 was a lot of fun, but I feel it's a very dated version of what Borderlands could be, and I think number 2 was better in every single bloody way. But the best phrase that can sum up Borderlands is, or Borderlands 3 rather, is guns, 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 and more guns. Yes, a grenade that fires out guns. More guns, bro.
Yeah. And if there was any question, there will be golden keys and shift codes, just like in previous versions. Full drop-in, drop-out co-op, and the level cap at launch is going to be at 50. So this game's out Friday the 13th in September of this year.
Oh, I'm so getting this game, dude. Borderlands 3, yeehaw, bring it, man, I'm there. I'm actually excited. It's probably the only AAA game I'm going to buy this year, good God. You joke, right? I've been playing mostly indie games this year because the AAA scene's been absolutely freaking dead to me. Battlefield 5 was a letdown, Division 2 was a letdown, but Borderlands 3... And don't get me started on the BioWare controversy. Ugh.
Well, how about not BioWare, but in that kind of old school BioWare arena? Because what they ended the show with for the PC gaming show was Baldur's Gate 3. Oh, yeah. And, yeah, so again, they weren't going to talk about anything that wasn't in the trailer, so there wasn't any new information beyond the trailer we've already seen. They did mention that as you start the game, you start outside the city, but you will get to go inside the city while you're playing the game. And one thing they did mention that was new information, though, Mike Marles was there, and he said that Wizards of the Coast is going to have a full pen and paper tabletop prequel campaign that you can actually, if you want to get to know a little bit about the story prior to jumping into Baldur's Gate and the things that would have happened before the story kicks off in the game, you'll be able to sit down on with tabletop, campaign 5th edition, play all the way from 1st to 13th level through a story campaign there, which I thought was kind of cool. And then one other thing that they did mention in the dev diary is they explained what happened with the character. It's been so long since I've done stuff with Illithids in D&D or paid much attention to them that I completely I don't even know if I ever even knew or just forgot how they reproduce. But the process that you see in the trailer where the guy seems to be almost like shape-shifting into an Illithid is something called ceramorphosis. Say that 5 times fast. But that's the process by where they put like a little earworm in or goes in through the eye or something like that, feeds on the guy's brain and like basically transforms him from the inside out into an Illithid, and that's how they reproduce. So that was what was going on in the trailer. Pretty gruesome, but I don't know, kind of neat, I guess, in a way that they've included that in the game.
People must remember something. Baldur's Gate is a very graphic game. Baldur's Gate 1 and Baldur's Gate 2 were great games. I thought 2 was a bit more cartoony than number 1, but still a great game nonetheless. And Baldur's Gate 3 needs to be real time, in my opinion. But this is Wizards of the Coast, and D&D, Magic the Gathering, and so on. I've got a very sneaky suspicion it's going to be turn-based. Fun fact about Wizards of the Coast: they actually started Tesla, not Elon Musk.
Well, I'm going to jump right back to what you're saying about real-time or turn-based. A lot of games with the WotC sticker on them have been real-time or real-time with pause or whatever. Going back to the old-school stuff, it was all turn-based. But I think the big question about whether it will be real-time or turn-based is because with Larian making this and them having made Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2, and those are turn-based games, some of the combat options that they're talking about will be available in Baldur's Gate. It makes me wonder if it's going to be a turn-based game using the same engine that they used to build Divinity Original Sin. So I like that engine. I just hope it's real time, or at the very least real time with pause, and that you're not stuck in turn based when it comes to combat.
Nah, dude, they're going to be forced to use Frostbite 4 like Anthem.
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
And completely kill any ability for the devs to actually, make the game.
And one last thing about the PC gaming show, if you're hearing that there was a lot of disappointment coming out of that show, some of the things that I've heard from folks who were a little upset had more to do with the fact that there were games being announced at the PC gaming show, some of which we may have covered, some we didn't, that are Epic exclusives, or at least timed exclusives on Epic. And some of those things were not necessarily expected to be Epic exclusives. Some of them were crowdfunded with the expectation of a Steam key. So there is some disgruntlement there. But as far as the PC gaming show itself at E3 and what they showed online, I think it went over pretty well, and there was a lot of cool games that were showcased there.
The thing about the whole exclusivity towards Epic or Steam or whatever have you is that I don't think the PC player base have actually had to experience this for a long, long time. If people remember, Destiny's been a PlayStation exclusive. Gran Turismo's been a PlayStation exclusive. Halo's been Xbox exclusive. Good God, what I'd do for Halo to come to the PlayStation. I don't think the PC master race have had the ability or the chance to experience this apart from the consoles. So for me, it's not necessarily an issue or a problem. Just either wait the time out or then go download Epic. Whereas in my case, it would be a case of go and buy an Xbox to play the games you want to play. So just create an account and buy the game there. It's a pain in the ass having 2 accounts, but really, first world problems, bro.
You're jumping down a whole rabbit hole that we don't have time to get into today. There's way more than just creating another account there.
Dude,
so,
I'm walking that fine grey line.
Yeah,
I know that.
There's so much more than that, and we've covered it in other shows too. But
yes. Yeah. I know. I'm walking a very fine line between black and white and grey, and right in the middle. I know.
All right, so we're going to jump out of the PC gaming show and into the UbiSoft press conference, or as they like to call it, Ubi E3.
That was so bad.
Which part?
Ubi E3. Okay. Thanks for that. Cheers. Funny, bro. Good story, bro.
That's what they call it. That's the hashtag.
I know. That's how bad it was.
Well, maybe something that'll have you a little more upbeat. Did you play the other 2 Watchdog games?
I did not, because I thought Watch Dogs was a bad attempt at basically hang on. Okay, cool. No, I did not. I thought Watch Dogs was just a bad attempt at making a video game. Completely bad attempt.
I don't know. I had some fun with both of the previous games. I haven't finished either one of them. This one looks to be pretty neat, and what they're bringing to the table here that's new is instead of just playing one character throughout the entire game, you're now, what they're saying is building a resistance. So as you encounter other people within the game world, you can hack into their lives, study them, and recruit them. They said pretty much anyone in the game world you can recruit, and you build a team. So you've got an entire roster of characters to work with. One of the things that they showed that it looked like would happen is if one of those characters is killed, you lose them from your roster. So there are some serious consequences to some of the missions you take if you lose characters throughout there. And they had a wide variety of characters, including one that became pretty popular. It was like this old English granny, I guess former MI6 assassin, and like crazy awesome hacker or something like that. That she became pretty popular throughout the stream that they were doing there. But I don't know, it looks neat. One thing I don't see in my notes here I was paying attention for, and I didn't see them mention if there will be any kind of cooperative play in this one, like have been or was in the at least in the last one. I know one of the things that disappointed me about the last one was it was just there were some competitive options, and then for cooperative play it was just missions. But I would like to be able to play through the story cooperatively with other folks. Kind of hoping they'll add that, but they didn't say one way or the other. So this is coming out March 6th of 2020.
So the way you just explained it to me, and the quick rundown we've just done on this one little game is basically Watch Dogs Mass Effect Edition. So are they trying to out BioWare? Not a difficult thing to do nowadays, sadly.
Yeah, they're not making it hard, right?
No. Not to knock the devs behind Watch Dogs or BioWare. I'm sure they work very hard at what they do. It's just to me, it reminds me of what BioWare did with Mass Effect. Could be cool. This is probably what this game needs.
Well, it's definitely a new mechanic and a new way to play it. So
it's not a new mechanic. It's not a new way to play it. It's just an old mechanic they've just repurposed for this particular game.
Well, what you're saying is two ways of saying the same thing. What I'm talking about is with regards to Watch Dogs, it's a new mechanic. Not that it's like, oh, it's brand new into the world. It's never been seen.
Right. Fair enough.
But, all right. So then jumping from that to Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Quarantine. So if you think about Rainbow Six lately, you're probably thinking about Rainbow Six Siege and the competitive play that's there. This game is some type of, it's a shooter. It's a two-player cooperative shooter, and you're combating some kind of alien virus that is like basically corrupting people. They didn't show a lot. They just show, a CGI trailer with a guy wearing some kind of wristband with some kind of medication in it who apparently is your character, and it looks like he's getting infected, and whether or not that wristband has something to slow or stop the infection. But I expect more information on this in the coming months, and they said that it would be out in early 2020.
So Tom Clancy's Gears 5 edition. Cool, bro. I swear to God, Ubisoft are quick on the mark. They really are.
Yeah,
because Gears 5 is something where they got to chase away a gas, and the gas changes people, whatever. And this is similar to an extent.
Yeah. Well, speaking of being quick on the mark, we've heard about things like Xbox xCloud. We've heard about Google Stadia, and those places or those two companies have been making a lot of waves lately with their streaming service options. Then they came out on stage and they're like, oh yeah, Uplay Plus, a subscription from Ubisoft for, $14.99 a month starting in September of this year. And it'll also be available on Stadia. So they're going to partner with Google Stadia.
You see, I think they've realized how profitable charging a yearly subscription is for PlayStation, Xbox, and other companies like that. And Ubisoft just want to tap that gold vein, or, dig out them diamonds from your wallet. So this is a clever move for Ubisoft to then support Stadia, because how do you shift hardware? You have some kick-ass software, because that will shift your hardware. And this is a clever move by both parties.
Well, the funny thing about this is I'm starting to wonder if it's going to be cheaper just to subscribe to one or two services per month. And I'm going to have to sit down and run the numbers and do this, because when you have an active subscription, you get access to like all of the games that are in that subscription. So is it going to be cheaper for me to say, oh, this month I'll subscribe to EA Play, and then next month I'll subscribe to Uplay, and then the month after that I'll do Google Stadia, and just have my subscription active for a single month so that I can play through the games on there? because I don't know, man. There's no way if you want to keep active with all these games, you're either going to be buying them individually like we already do, or if you're interested in getting into some of the back catalogs of games that maybe you didn't get to before, that can get expensive real quick. You know, $15 here, $15 there, Netflix, different streaming services. It's getting insane.
I agree with you there, but remember, this is where they can quite literally screw the pooch and say, you have then got the $15 a month subscription, but you're only allowed access to the basic core game. If you want anything more, you've then got to pay an additional. So you play premium, you get all the access, and that's $35 a month. Boom.
Hey, whoever's editing the audio on this, go bleep that all out. Don't be giving them ideas.
That's me. But dude, thing is, right, they probably sat around a table and already worked this out. So they've laid the groundwork, but they're going to instill the EA mentality of, give me your money.
Yeah, well.
Sad but true.
Moving on from that sad topic to something a little more interesting. The last thing that they showed off was something called Roller Champions, and this one looks like this could be some fun. It's a skill-based team PvP sports game where you're, think rollerball. You're, zipping around on roller skates, fighting over a ball, trying to put it through a hoop. I say a hoop, but not like a basketball hoop, but like a circle on the side of the wall. And this is got a pre-alpha E3 demo that'll be available for the next few days, so you can go check it out. I think this could be kind of fun, and it might be one of those that it's also kind of fun to watch online on like Twitch or something like that.
Right, the origins of basketball. Now, don't quote me on this, but I believe it was done by.
I think it was the Mayans?
The Mayans or the Aztecs or the Incas. I can't really place it. I know a bit about it, and it was just a stone hoop on the side of a wall.
Yeah.
So yes, that's the origins of basketball and netball and all other bits of ball that require a hoop. So yeah, it's basketball with roller skates, dude. Crack on. A lot of fun.
All right, and leaving Ubisoft behind, one of the other ones that came out on Monday was Kind of Funny Games. Did an indie-focused show where they showcased, what was it, something like 60 games. There are so many cool games that were shown off there, and I wish we had enough time to just sit and talk about a lot of those. But we distilled this part down because we were kind of hitting in on a lot of the AAA stuff that was going to be talked about at E3. So we distilled this down to 3. And the first one is something called Hamsterdam, which is kind of hilarious. You play as a hamster that knows kung fu, and it's like a beat 'em up game, and it just looks like it would be like both fun and funny to play. After that, there's something called Wave Break, which is an arcade skating or racing game with the ability to shoot and take out your opponents. Think kind of something similar to like the old Tony Hawk games where you were competitively going downhill against the other players sitting on the couch with you. And then there was another one called Brave Earth Prologue. There were 3 different characters it looked like you could play, and this was very much a Castlevania-like, both in the art style and the music and the way that it plays a 2D platformer. It looked really neat. Again, if you're into indie games, if you're into 2D platformers, if you loved Castlevania, this is something you definitely want to be going to check out. It's called Brave Earth Prologue.
Yes, guys, as a predominantly indie-based podcast, we have let you down completely and only found 3 games with Ayeta. And don't blame me, all right? Don't blame me. Right, after that, heroic attempt at Kind of Funny Games, the indie-focused bit with over 60 games, which we just could not cover in time because, believe it or not, my ears are starting to bleed. We move swiftly on to Square Enix and Final Fantasy VII. Yes, my missus is all over this, like a thing on a thing. It looks really, really good, but that's what you expect from Square Enix and Final Fantasy. It just looks so good. Just blown away by the actual visual effect of it. The quality is epic. And I tell you what, if they've managed to figure out ray tracing on this, that looks like some real people stuff.
I don't think we're going to get ray tracing with this.
No, but God, they've managed to do what they've done without ray tracing. Just imagine what would happen if they did it with ray tracing. You wouldn't be able to distinguish the frickin' difference.
It's definitely amazing. And then and like you said, the CGI from Square Enix, you expect phenomenal things, and they always deliver. But the in-game looks pretty damn good as well. It
Terrible
definitely
gameplay,
still has
quality graphics.
Well, this has some interesting gameplay mechanics now. This isn't the same gameplay as the old Final Fantasy. Well, first off, they're saying that the game's going to have 2 Blu-ray discs worth of content, which I was just like, wow, that's a lot of stuff to ship with the game.
Yeah, that's pushing it a bit.
But during combat, you get this tactical mode once you build up your meter, where you slow down time, and then you can pick from different abilities or items to use. You can cast spells. Once you've been beating up the enemy for quite a while, and you fill up one of their meters, you stagger them, and then you get to do all kinds of bonus damage. And it also looked like some of the environments might be destroyable, but that was during a boss fight, so I don't know if that's specific just to the boss fights. But the cool thing is, it's a party game with regards to the fact that you're controlling an entire party. So even though you're going to be doing some real-time fighting, you're going to have that slow mode. They made it real simple for you to switch between characters so that you can shift between Cloud and Tifa and each of the individuals that are there. So you basically, they said it's one button. You hit a single button and it shifts you between, say over to Barrett. It was really fluid how it seemed to work. And then the AI would take over for the characters that you weren't controlling.
It did actually remind me of Shadows Awakening, the way of the switchover. It was very fluid. Shadows Awakening, if you guys don't actually know, is a lovely, lovely indie game that we've actually covered earlier on, and this actually reminded me of it. Very, very pretty game. I'm actually going to be playing the DLC soon and reviewing it. Yay!
And the other neat thing I've caught while they were doing this is there was a lot of voiceover that was happening during combat. Now, what I'm used to with most games is you get voiceover during, story dialogue, during cutscenes and things like that. But they actually had dialogue that was fully voiced over during the combat, and I thought that was pretty cool.
That helps with the immersion of the game. I think Square Enix has actually got themselves a bit of a winner here. Oh,
yeah, I was never big on Final Fantasy ever. I played the ones and enjoyed the ones way back on the Nintendo, but after that I kind of fell out. I'm kind of curious to check this one out, but it'll be out March 3rd of 2020.
And then we have Dragon's Quest Builders 2. Yes, guys, a cartoony anime top-down adventure game. And I hate to use this. Yes, it looks a bit Minecrafty, and with Minecraft, it is crafting 4-player co-op. Yeah, and that's really it. It just looks like a lot of fun, so we thought we'd mention it. It does look pretty good.
Yeah, it's got 4-player co-op, and the first thing I thought when I saw this is I was like, oh, maybe I'll play this with my Munchkin, and then they said July 12th on PS4, and I went, oh, maybe not.
Yeah,
I think I'm not sure. Don't quote me on this. I think it may also be coming out on the Switch.
Yeah, they've got to somehow make the Switch a valid console and actually sell games that don't revolve around nostalgia.
Oh, we'll get to Nintendo. Don't worry.
I know, and I'm dreading it. Dreading it.
So then they showed off a bunch of stuff from the Square Enix Collective, which if you don't know what that is, that's where they go, and it's kind of a curated indie development scene where I don't know the ins and the outs of specifically how it works with it. They approach indie developers, or I think indie developers actually submit things to the collective and it gets voted on. But one of the ones that stood out from that for me that I thought was really cool was something called Circuit Superstars, which is a top-down racing game. It has a versus mode, and it's a bit of a cartoony style. So I mean, you're not looking like for a lot of realism there, but there was nothing wrong with that. It looked like it would be really cute and really fun to play. And then after that, there was another one called Onanaki. Man, I hope I didn't butcher that too bad. Which is probably why Bamm didn't jump in here.
Correct.
But this is
I couldn't pronounce it.
But it's a Diablo style RPG, but it had Zelda-like anime graphics. So I don't know. That looked like kind of an interesting mesh to me, and that's out on August 22nd of this year.
What do you reckon?
And then they ended the show with Marvel's Avengers. Now the funny thing is, I had spent so much time watching E3 stuff that by the time we were getting to the end of the Square Enix show, I had completely forgotten about Marvel Avengers. So it was a total shock to me when it came on the screen. I went, "Oh yeah, they were supposed to talk about this." But this appears to be a third-person action adventure. It has single player and co-op, and it looks like you'll get to play as Iron Man, Thor, Cap, Hulk, and Black Widow. At least at the beginning, because you play through a little bit of a prequel or prologue mission, and it looks like during that Cap dies, and then the story shifts forward 5 years. At which point it looks like you still have access to the other characters, plus potentially Hank Pym, and now it's like this political fall of the Avengers. They're blamed for the events of the things that happened, and they're no longer like this bright shiny team. They're kind of segmented, and I guess it's probably going to be like a redemption story at that point. They are saying that new content will come regularly, new heroes and new regions will come at no additional cost. They did mention something about customizing new characters though, and I really expect that that's where they're probably going to try to monetize this. Is we're probably going to see like all kinds of different costumes that have come from a variety of different comics and movies and things like that. Those are things you might end up having to pay for, but I guess we're going to have to wait and see.
The right person to discuss this topic is actually TJ, right? Because I'm on the same side as a lot of these people that were upset about character designs not showing any likeness with the characters on the big screen, but I do understand that what's happened in the big screen hasn't necessarily happened in the comic books, and a video game about these this band of renegade heroes won't necessarily share the same sort of storyline. However, if Captain America dies, that would be a pretty gripping story for the cinematic universe, because there's a comic book universe, cinematic universe. Well, there's several universes in the comic books, let's get that straight. Then there's a cinematic universe, and now there's the video gaming universe. How do you pronounce it? Gaming it? Well, yeah, you know what I mean. Cinematic gaming. You know what I mean? That universe.
Well, they did say, I mean, this story isn't in any way related to any of the stuff that's happening in the MCU, or even necessarily specifically related to any stories existing within the comics. They're telling their own story, and that's fine. Honestly, here's the thing that bothers me, that people are crying, well, complaining, whining, bitching about the fact that these characters don't look like the actors who are portraying the roles. This isn't the MCU Marvel game. If you want to say that the metal, I don't know what they are, buttons that are on Thor's chest are far too freaking massive. If you want to nitpick about the costumes, sure, okay, fine, that's a conversation. But the fact that they don't look exactly like the actors that are portraying the roles, to me, is just silly. This isn't the first time we've seen these characters in video games or in other media besides the movies, and they don't look like those actors there either. So that, to me, that's not even a conversation worth having.
Dude, I agree. Just think about it this way, right? Okay, just to license the actual MCU universe, right, you'd have to talk to Sony, which means Columbia. They'd have to talk to Marvel Studios, which means Disney, okay? And when you talk to Disney, Disney are somehow going to stick Star Wars, Indiana Jones, and all that other nonsense that does not belong. Oh God, that's how frustrated I am with this. That does not actually belong or is required in the game. These guys telling their own story is very brave, but they don't require the House of Mouse giving it the AOK or the Nigatsi cat thumbs down. So it's a good thing they're doing it. Brave of them. I'm also not upset. I'm like, shame, but they're doing the right thing. They're making their own story, going their own way without having to bow or bend the knee to certain higher ups that might ruin the game and ruin the story they're trying to tell.
Hold on just a second.
And this is where you tell me, Brett, you should have done your research because Disney is involved with this game.
No, I was getting there. Hold on just a second. Well, Marvel is involved in the game. It is Marvel's Avengers after all. But aside from that, one of the things you're talking about, you're having to license all this other stuff. When you talk about using a specific actor's look, a lot of times you have to get the okay and pay the actor and, license their visual appearance to be used for the video game. So that's an additional cost that the video game just doesn't need.
Dude, Keanu Reeves was so good looking, he didn't have to be asked. He just got put in the game because he's just that great. He's like, I'm Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
He walked into CD Projekt Red and said, I'm Keanu Reeves.
Well, I'll tell you what. They're doing some damn good stuff with their pre-orders and stuff. They've got another package right now where if you pre-order Cyberpunk, you get all the old Witcher games as well. It's just insane. But there was another actor that came out on stage, and it was during UbiSoft, and we didn't talk about this because there wasn't any real new information for Breakpoint. But it was pretty cool because after they showed a trailer, John Bernthal comes out with his pit bull. I'm assuming it was his pit bull. Walks right out onto the stage, has a puppy lay down next to him, does does his whole spiel, and the puppy's just like sitting there the whole time. One of the cutest dogs, man. Reminded me so much of the pit bull we used to have. So yeah, there were a couple of folks who had some really cool moments on stage, like Keanu did.
Dude, the second I saw Keanu Reeves in Cyberpunk 2077 was, my God, that's Johnny Mnemonic, the older version of him. It's like, this is what happened to him. I swear to God, this is what he did. He went to CD Projekt Red and he told them to make the game for him. That's what it was. Boom. He walks into CD Projekt Red, see this Witcher nonsense you're making. Yeah? Johnny Mnemonic, go. Make my game!
All right, and I know we're getting close to an hour, so we'll try to hit this last section.
Can you see I'm dragging this out so we can rush to a Nintendo?
Yeah, we'll try to hit Nintendo out through here as quickly as we can. So Tuesday was Nintendo's press conference. They introed Doug Bowser, who is taking over for Reggie, and they did kind of a cute way of doing that, where they had an animated Bowser character in there, and then he kind of comes and kicks him out. But then from there, they went and they jumped right into the games. So first one up that I wanted to call attention to is Luigi's...
I'm leaving that in.
First one up that I wanted to call attention to was Luigi's Mansion 3, which will have a co-op option to it. And, if you've played the previous Luigi... Oh, man.
Yeah, how much time have you had tonight, Sunshine?
None yet.
Lies.
But if you've played the previous Luigi's Mansions, then you'll know what to expect out of these games. He's running around hunting ghosts, trying to find out what happened to his friends. It's a cute game. It looks like it'll be some fun on the Switch.
Yep, tablet-based game. Yep, a lot of fun. Yep. It's a sad thing that Reggie's actually gone, because Reggie's been with Nintendo for a very long time. Be quite interesting to see what Bowser does with this company in America.
Yeah, I mean, all good things must come to an end sooner or later, I guess. So I assume he's having a happy and good retirement. But moving back to games, one that was a bit of a surprise to me, I didn't expect, I hadn't seen anything about, was there's a Dark Crystal game that's coming out. And this one appears to be a turn-based tactical RPG. And it looks kind of neat. I don't know if it's necessarily, it's not necessarily my thing, because I prefer the real-time stuff to the turn-based stuff. But if you like turn-based tactical RPGs, if you're a fan of Dark Crystal, go look and see what they're doing.
And you can talk about the next one too, because you can. This is the kind of game that emphasizes what Nintendo does best. It sells nostalgia to you. Honestly, Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening remastered. You didn't need to remaster it. You just sold... Nah, never mind.
It looks great. No, I like that they've remastered it, because now I can play it on the Switch and the graphics look even better.
Dude.
The old Link's Awakening was a top-down 2D, and now this is a top-down and it looks 3D. So they've brought it into the third dimension.
But it's still 2D.
Everything you play on computer is technically 2D. But since you're talking about them selling nostalgia, here was another one that surprised me. There's a certain type of game growing up playing on the Nintendo system that I don't think I would have ever expected to see these types of games. We're getting things on the Switch like, Wolfenstein and Doom, and to me, and they look good. And it surprises me that we're seeing those things on the Nintendo. I like it. I'm just surprised by it. And the next title was one that caught me by surprise as well. CD Projekt Red is bringing Witcher Wild Hunt 3 to the Nintendo Switch in 2019.
You see, now, this is also a thing with Nintendo, okay, that I've also griped about. I know I keep harping on about nostalgia, N in Nintendo stands for nostalgia, but the problem with Nintendo is I grew up and out of Nintendo onto the PS1 because the PS1 had better games, the Xbox had better games, more games, growing up, you want to play more aggressive sort of shooters, or you want to play a racing car game, whatever, and you don't want to play Mario Kart for the rest of your life. If Nintendo are actually serious about turning across to, I don't want to say more adult content, but more regular content that's out on the other consoles, I actually might be keen on getting myself a Nintendo. I had my hands on a Twitch. I had my hands on a Nintendo Switch. Yes, not just you, Drac. And I must say, over in London a couple of months back, I actually enjoyed it. It was a good experience. And honestly, this is why I keep hopping. It's just a tablet with controls. But The Witcher Wild Hunt 3 on a tablet you can take anywhere and play. Shit, dude, I'd get that. Witcher Wild Hunt 3 on the NES. Give me some of that.
Well, and that is one thing that they started off a lot of these announcements that Doug Bowser had been saying, is that what they were attempting to do is show you that they were appealing to a wider variety for an audience. So games for, I think, all folks, or games for all people, or all types of folks, or something like that. So yeah, they definitely have been bringing a lot of titles in that, like you said, folks who grew up and wanted more teen-oriented or adult-oriented games, or things with violence that weren't typically found on Nintendo. They are starting to bring more of those things to the Nintendo Switch, which is cool.
The one thing that caught my eye with this Nintendo wasn't Witcher, right? The one thing was the Contra collection. I mean, wow. Yes, please.
That's available actually as of yesterday. And the funny thing about, I put these on the list because, you keep bringing it up and talking about Contra. You're going to get a new Contra game in the 24th of September this year too. It's called Contra Rogue Corps.
Dude, I'm all over that. I actually might just get myself a Switch just to play these games.
see, hang with me long enough.
The dark side's taking me.
Yeah, see, one thing our listeners should figure out about this is that hang with me long enough and I'll wear you down. Bamm started out as a console peasant. He's finally gotten a laptop PC. I'm still working on him for a desktop, but we'll get there. And he's starting to see the light when it comes to a Switch. So
no, look. I didn't see the sense of Nintendo Switch. I really didn't. But then playing with it over at London, it just made a lot of sense. Over at EJX Rares, I played an indie game on it, and it just it just made sense. Granted, the battery life was pants. You get about an hour worth of gameplay out of it, maybe two, depending on what game you play. This is where I reckon Witcher 3 wouldn't last very long on it. But yeah, definitely worth getting. And now it's got Contra. Yes.
All right, and going from that, one of the ones I kind of wanted to bring up, it's because it was made from Romero Games and Paradox Entertainment. Now, if the name Romero sounds familiar, it's probably because he was one of the original creators of Doom. And they're releasing a game onto the Switch called Empire of Sin. And it was a quick trailer, so you didn't get to see a whole lot of what it was. It looks like it's some kind of isometric, top-down kind of gangster game. It looked like it might have some type of sim elements with regards to, like, I wasn't sure if you're like upgrading different areas or taking over areas, maybe RTS. It really, they just didn't show enough of it to really get much out of it yet. But that one is called Empire of Sin. And after that, we go to Marvel's Ultimate Alliance 3. This one looks to be kind of a cel-shaded third-person isometric action game, almost a little Diablo-esque. And again, they're going to have like it looks like some expansion pass or something like that. So, after playing through the game, you want to play with other characters, you're going to get those things through like expansion passes. And I think there were 3 that they showed on the screen. It jumped by really fast, and I noticed that one of them was X-Men, but I didn't quite catch the other 2. Then, following that, they had a sizzle reel with a bunch of quick intros and trailers for several different games coming out. It was a long list of games. And they finished the show with an announcement that the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild sequel is in development, which Bamm is probably thinking I'm all excited for. As much as I like Nintendo, as much as I like Zelda games, I didn't actually care for Breath of the Wild as much. So that news was kind of like, it's expected. Cool for the folks who enjoy it, but not so much for me.
Because Breath of the Wild was a skinny down version of Skyrim. Yay.
No, it was because of weapon degradation and the way that stamina is built in and a few other minor things. But yeah, mostly the weapon degradation kind of killed it for me. But anyway, that has been the press conferences from E3, both what we covered on Monday and the dump truck load we tried to give you guys today. Of course, you can find more if you go check out some of the live streams that each one of these companies has done online. I'm sure you can find them on their YouTube channels. But, thanks for sticking with us today and, listening to us prattle on about all these games that are coming out over the next year or two.
Yes, guys, thank you very much for listening to us bleed your ears dry with all this fun and malarkey and shenanigans and hijinks with all these games. Some games are quite interesting. A lot are really boring. E3 for me was so-so. Highlight was Keanu Reeves, Pitbull, and Contra. Done. That's it.
I'm going to start calling you Eeyore.
I know, because I'm boring. I know.
No, because you're just blue about everything.
I know. Seriously, E3 doesn't need to exist. Seriously. Never mind, though. Never mind. Guys, thank you very much for letting us talk to you about games that we thought were interesting. Thank you very much. My name's Bamm Havoc, and I'll see you all later. TTFN.
Adios.